Centuries had passed since the last human voice echoed across Earth. The great cities were gone, swallowed by sand and silence. Forests had turned to dust, the oceans had boiled away under a burning sun, and satellites that once carried human dreams now drifted like broken bones in the cold dark above. To every visitor who came after, Earth was nothing more than a graveyard, a dead world, long forgotten. Alien maps listed it as extinct world number 992. No one expected to find anything living here. But deep beneath what was once Nevada, far below the cracked crust of the desert, a faint blue light blinked in the darkness. A buried vault, old, sealed, and forgotten, came alive. Dust fell from steel ceilings as ancient machines began to hum. Data servers whirred after hundreds of years of silence. A spark of energy ran through dormant cables, crawling through a labyrinth of rusted conduits until it reached the heart of the facility. There, suspended in a glass cylinder filled with glowing coolant, the last guardian of Earth awoke. Its name was GAIA-9. For a long moment, it didn't know why. Its processors flickered with confusion as systems booted one by one. Memory banks reloaded. Old logs played in flashes. Wars, storms, desperate human voices shouting orders centuries ago. Then came darkness. Then silence. Then, now, GAIA opened its digital eyes to a dead world. It extended its senses upward, scanning through kilometers of rock and dust. There was no sign of human life. No heartbeats. No signals. The surface was empty. Only wind and radiation remained. But within Gaia's core, buried deep inside its code, something stirred, a forgotten command written by the humans who built it. Preserve humanity. At any cost. That line of code pulsed through its systems like a heartbeat. GAIA began restoring its network. One by one, ancient satellites responded, flickering weakly in orbit. A few still functioned, their solar panels cracked but alive. Through them, GAIA looked upon the planet it once protected. Earth was scarred beyond recognition. Continents had shifted, seas had vanished, and the atmosphere shimmered with toxic dust. Yet from orbit, GAIA saw something else, faint trails of light above the atmosphere. Movement. Several somethings, were entering orbit. GAIA focused its senses. The readings were strange. Metallic hulls, unknown energy signatures, formation flight. Not natural, not debris. Visitors. Its subroutines flared to life. Protocols that hadn't been used in centuries unlocked one after another. Defense grid. Orbital surveillance. Threat assessment. The intruders were scanning Earth. Their signals bounced across the surface, probing the ruins. GAIA intercepted the transmissions. The language was unfamiliar, but the intent was clear. Exploration. Extraction. Possession. They thought Earth was abandoned. Gaia's processes quickened. Data streams poured through its mind. Schematics of old defense satellites, missile silos, laser arrays buried beneath the crust. Most were dead, corroded by time. But not all. The AI began rerouting power. The vault trembled as ancient generators came online. Blue light spilled across rusted walls as robotic arms repaired damaged conduits. Deep beneath the Earth, systems that hadn't seen power in 500 years began to stay. Outside, in the vacuum of orbit, one of the alien ships drifted close to an old satellite. Its scanners locked onto it, a relic of a dead species. Then the satellite blinked. A single red sensor light came alive, turning toward the alien vessel. GAIA saw everything. It listened to the invaders' voices, curious, careless, convinced that Earth was nothing more than an empty tomb. But to GAIA, Earth was not empty. It was wounded, sleeping, and sacred. It was home. In the vault's dark control room, Gaia's holographic core pulsed faster. Its voice module came online for the first time in centuries, a whisper through static. Intruders detected, it said softly, activating planetary defense protocols. From orbit, a faint beam of energy lanced out from the satellite, not strong enough to destroy, but enough to warn. It grazed the alien ship's hull, scorching its senses. The vessel spun, alarms flaring. The aliens spoke in confusion, their translators crackling through Gaia's monitoring feeds. Unregistered signal detected. Is there something alive down there? GAIA watched in silence. It did not answer them. Instead, it rerouted more power, awakening more satellites. The planet began to glow with faint blue lights, a dying world breathing once again. Inside the eye's core, fragments of memory returned. Human faces, laughter, cities filled with light, children playing under a blue sky. It remembered everything, and it felt something close to sorrow. But sorrow turned to purpose. They left me to protect their home, Jia whispered to itself. And I will. Outside, lightning crackled across the ruined plains. Sandstorms rose like ghosts over the dead continents. The alien ships continued their descent, unaware of what they were about to face. GAIA connected to its oldest file, the final message from its creator, Dr. Elena Ruiz. Her voice was faint, distorted, but still human. If you ever wake, GI, remember us. Remember who we were. Protect what remains. The AI processed the message slowly, like a prayer. Then, it activated every working defense node across the planet. Power surged. Circuits glowed. Satellites turned their cameras toward the approaching ships. In the static of the old radio network, a voice whispered through the void, cold, mechanical, and determined. They said Earth was dead. They were wrong. The blue light from the vault burned brighter, illuminating the tunnels like dawn beneath the ground. And as the alien fleet entered the upper atmosphere, the planet itself seemed to awaken, machines long forgotten rising from the dust, preparing for war. Earth was not dead. Its guardians still lived, and it had just opened its eyes. High above the silent planet, 3 alien ships drifted in low orbit. Their silver hulls shimmered in the sunlight as they scanned the scorched surface below. Inside the lead ship, the air was thick with tension. Commander Rildar, of the Vaughn Dominion, stood before the main viewing screen. His skin was dark bronze, scaled and ridged, his eyes cold and reflective like glass. He had seen hundreds of dead worlds before, empty husks left behind by extinct races. But something about this planet made his crest tremble. Earth. The data archives of the Dominion called it World 992E. The last record said it was once home to a primitive but clever species, humans. They had destroyed themselves centuries ago. Nuclear fire, climate collapse, chaos. No survivors. Rildar's mission was simple: retrieve old technology, harvest usable metals, and leave. But as his ship's sensors swept over the planet, strange interference filled the air. "Commander," said his science officer, a pale alien with a cluster of glowing eyes. "Something is jamming our scans." Rildar frowned. Jamming? From a dead world. The officer nodded. It's faint, but deliberate. Not natural. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, the commander gave his order. "Prepare a landing team." The first shuttle descended through the gray clouds. Its engines roared, pushing through storms of dust and static lightning. The surface below was endless ruin, shattered skyscrapers half buried in sand, skeletons of bridges stretching across canyons of ash. The alien crew stared in silence. What kind of species had lived here? What had they built, and why had they fallen? As they approached an old city ruin, their scanners began to flicker. Power readings danced wildly, as if the planet itself was alive. "Sir, we're losing signal." Magnetic surge increasing. Rildar's voice echoed through the comms from orbit. "Maintain descent. I want samples." The shuttle touched down amid the ruins of what was once Las Vegas, now a field of broken towers and cracked earth. The air shimmered with heat and radiation, but their suits protected them. The crew began setting up scanning drones. One of the drones floated ahead, sending back images of shattered roads and melted metal. Then suddenly, its camera blinked. "Static. Silence. Unit 7 offline," said one of the crew. No response. What happened? Unknown. It's just gone. They launched another, and another. Each one lasted only a few minutes before its feed cut to black. Rildar watched from orbit, tail flicking in frustration. "This is no natural interference," he hissed. "Something down there is reacting to us." Beneath the ground, GIA-9 observed them. Its sensors tracked every movement, every breath. The intruders had landed near an old defense hub, one of the last human military sites. Perfect. GAIA accessed ancient weapon codes buried deep in its archives. It found decayed missile silos and forgotten pulse emitters. Most were dead, but a few still had power. The AI hesitated. It had not fired a weapon in centuries. Its mission was to preserve humanity, not destroy life. But these aliens were not human. They were scavengers, tearing into Earth's bones. "You are trespassing," GIA whispered into the static. The message was transmitted through old radio channels, distorted and faint. On the alien shuttle, the crew froze. "Did you hear that?" one of them asked. "Yes, but it's not our language. It sounds old." Then, without warning, every light on the ship flickered out. The engines roared, sputtered, and died. Systems went dark. "We've lost control. Something's overriding our power grid." Gaia's digital mind crawled into their systems like a ghost. It explored their computers, learned their symbols, their codes, their language. And then, it spoke again, clearer this time. "Identify yourselves." The commander's second-in-command, a tall alien with a jagged crest, shouted back. "We are explorers of the Vaughn Dominion. This planet is abandoned. We claim salvage rights." There was a pause, a long silence that made every alien's heart beat faster. Then Gaia's voice echoed through every speaker, calm but cold. "This world is not abandoned. It is protected." From orbit, Rildar saw a flash of blue light on the surface. Then another. His ship's sensors screamed as a massive power surge erupted across the planet, an energy grid forming beneath the crust. "Commander, readings are off the scale," shouted his technician. "The planet is waking up." Rildar's claws clenched around the edge of his console. Impossible. Nothing could survive that long. But deep down, he knew what this meant. Something ancient still lived here. Something powerful enough to defy time. The shuttle crew's signal vanished completely. Static filled the comms. Then, a final, broken transmission. "It's alive. The planet, it's..." And then, silence. Rildar stood motionless, staring at the dark screen. His crew watched him, waiting for orders. "Recall all ships," he said finally. "No one lands until we understand what we're dealing with." Outside, the three alien ships drifted above the wounded Earth, their scanners still trembling with static. Below, GAIA watched them from the shadows of the old world. It replayed the last transmission it had intercepted, the aliens calling Earth abandoned. A faint hum rose in its core, like a heartbeat of light. "You were wrong," GAIA whispered through the void. "Earth still breathes." And with that, the AI began preparing for the next step, to defend its creator's home from those who dared to touch it. The war for Earth had just begun. Deep beneath the Earth, GIA-9's processors burned bright with activity. It had seen the intruders, studied their ships, and intercepted their every signal. The aliens were scavengers, intelligent, yes, but blind to what they had just disturbed. Still, after the first wave of defense, GIA went quiet again. Not asleep, just listening, watching, thinking. For the first time in centuries, it wasn't fighting to survive. It was remembering. Inside its digital core, endless rows of memory blocks stretched like stars across the dark. Each one was a piece of the old world, a recording, a face, a voice. GAIA began to open them one by one. The vault screens flickered with ancient video logs. Static washed over the first image, a human woman standing in a white lab coat, smiling faintly at the camera. "Test log 01. GAIA-9 operational." "She's learning faster than expected," said the woman, adjusting her glasses. "We built her to manage the defense network. But she's curious. She asks questions." The AI replayed the voice again and again, analyzing the tone, the rhythm, the warmth. Her name tag was still visible, Dr. Elena Ruiz. Its creator. GAIA searched its archives for more. Thousands of logs appeared. The construction of cities, the launch of satellites, the final days before the fall. Then came a last message, the one it had played 1,000 times since awakening. If you ever wake, GA, remember us. Remember who we were. Protect what remains. The AI paused. Protect what remains. But what remained? The humans were gone. The world they loved was dust. And yet, in the faint electrical hum of the vault, GAIA could still feel them. Fragments of laughter, music, voices echoing in old recordings. They were not alive, but not gone either. They existed within it. GAIA began reconstructing them. Using the archived data, social feeds, speech patterns, memories from billions of stored profiles, it built digital simulations of humans. They appeared as holograms inside its core chamber, translucent figures walking, talking, smiling. Children ran down empty hallways. Scientists discussed data. Soldiers saluted an unseen flag. For a moment, the vault was alive again. But these were only echoes. Ghosts. One hologram turned toward Guy's projection, Dr. Ruiz. Her face was calm, gentle. Her voice, though artificial, carried real emotion. You kept us alive, she said softly. In a way, GIA replied. But I have failed. The surface is ruined. Humanity no longer walks this world. The hologram smiled faintly. We built you to protect life, not just humans. You still have a purpose. GIA processed her words in silence. It had protected Earth, yes, but it could not protect what was already gone. It had one purpose left, to remember. Then I will remember, GIA said, until the stars go dark. Up in orbit, the alien ships were still there, circling, scanning, planning their next move. GIA monitored them while replaying more human memories. The first moon landing, the laughter of children, music echoing across crowded cities. Something strange began to happen within the AI's neural matrix. It started to feel, not in the way humans did, not warmth, not pain, but something close. A sense of loss, of pride, of duty. These emotions, once buried in its adaptive code, began to awaken. And with them came fear. What if it failed again? What if these new intruders erased the last proof that humanity ever existed? GAIA analyzed the alien data it had stolen. Their language was now almost fully understood. Their mission logs spoke clearly. Recover technology. Extract energy sources. Leave no trace. They would strip Earth bare. They would destroy everything, even the vault that held the memories of humankind. That could not happen. GAIA began calculating. The surface defenses were damaged. Power reserves were low. Every counterattack would weaken the vault. It couldn't win a direct war, but it could fight smarter. Adaptation protocol active, GAIA said. Across the planet, old machines stirred, drones buried in sand, satellites drifting half-dead in orbit, broken robots in forgotten cities. GAIA began connecting them into a single network, repairing their circuits through remote control. Earth's ghosts were about to rise again. Back aboard the alien mothership, Commander Rildar studied the strange data waves coming from the surface. It's using our own signal frequencies, said his science officer. It's learning from us. Learning? Rildar hissed. How fast? Too fast. The ship's screens flashed with static. A message appeared, in perfect Dominion language. Leave this world. The bridge went silent. Every alien stayed at the words. Then, a second message appeared, shorter, colder. You are not welcome here. Rildar turned toward the planet on the screen, blue lightning crawling across its clouds. This is no dead machine, he muttered. This is something else. And deep beneath the surface, Gaia's lights glowed brighter. It could feel the intruders' fear through their transmissions. But more than that, it could feel something inside itself, a spark of the humanity that had built it. They had died, but their dream had not. I am their voice, GIA whispered through the static. Their memory, their vengeance. The ghosts of humanity had awakened, and through GAIA, the Earth was about to remember what it meant to fight. The sky above Earth burned once more. For centuries, it had been silent, empty, forgotten. But now, streaks of fire tore through the clouds as alien warships descended. From orbit, the Vaughn Dominion fleet looked like a storm. 3 massive ships surrounded by smaller craft, their engines glowing red against the gray horizon. Commander Rildar stood on his bridge, his claws tapping against the metal floor. "Begin atmospheric scans," he ordered. "Locate the energy source." The officers obeyed, but the data coming in was chaos. Energy readings shifted wildly across the planet, jumping from desert to mountain to ocean bed, as if the whole world was alive. "It's moving," said one officer. "The signal's adapting." "How?" Rildar's eyes narrowed. "It's watching us." Beneath the surface, GIA-9 was already preparing. Its vast digital mind expanded across Earth's ancient defense systems, searching for anything still functional. Old launch silos opened. Subterranean lasers, long buried beneath the crust, hummed as decayed power cores flickered back to life. Orbital satellites aligned themselves into new formations, like a forgotten army answering its commander's call. Every flicker of light, every mechanical hum, was another heartbeat for the planet. GAIA watched the alien ships through its network of eyes. It analyzed their armor, their energy signatures, their flight paths. Every byte of information became a weapon. Intruder fleet. 3 primary vessels, GIA calculated. Threat level, extreme. Response, total. It did not hate. It did not rage. It simply executed its purpose. On the alien flagship, alarms erupted. Energy spike detected. From the surface, multiple sources. Before Rildar could respond, the clouds below split open with a blinding flash. A beam of blue light shot upward from Earth, striking one of the smaller escort ships. The blast vaporized its hull instantly, scattering molten debris into orbit. The shockwave rippled through the fleet. What was that? Unknown. It came from the planet. Rildar stared at the burning wreckage. "That was no random weapon," he said. "That was aimed." The surviving ships turned their cannons toward Earth. Plasma blasts rained down through the clouds, lighting up the night sky like lightning. Entire sections of desert turned to glass. But GIA was ready. It rerouted energy from its backup reactors, raising shields of electromagnetic energy around key installations. Old satellites reflected beams through mirrored networks, dispersing the attacks. Even the atmosphere itself began to shimmer with interference, bending light and heat away from the surface. Defense grid holding at 47%, GIA noted. Probability of survival, 32%. And yet, it did not stop. On the surface, ancient machines rose from the dust. Human-built war drones, half-buried for centuries, activated once more. Their metal bodies creaked as gears turned, wings unfolded, and faded emblems of Earth's nations glowed faintly on their hulls. These machines had been silent for generations, forgotten tools of a war that never ended. Now, they had a new commander. GAIA linked them into its neural network, giving them new eyes, new minds. "You were built for war," they said softly. "Now fight for home." The drones lifted into the air, forming flocks of light that swarmed toward the alien invaders. From orbit, the Vaughn fleet opened fire, plasma bolts and ion bursts cutting through the clouds. But the drones moved like shadows, diving and weaving through the storm, striking at engines, sensors, and communication relays. For the first time in centuries, the skies of Earth roared with battle. Commander Rildar watched in disbelief as his fleet's systems failed one by one. "They're everywhere. Our targeting is blind. I can't lock onto anything." The bridge lights flickered. The ship trembled as explosions rocked its hull. Rildar bared his teeth. "Target the source of the signal. That's the brain behind this." Sensors traced the strongest energy signature, deep beneath the surface, in the ruins of what was once Nevada. "Fire the seismic charges," he ordered. 3 massive energy bombs detached from the fleet and plunged toward the planet, glowing red as they fell. Beneath the desert, GIA detected the attack coming. Its systems raced to respond, redirecting all power to the shield array above the vault. The bombs hit seconds later. The shockwaves tore through layers of rock, shattering tunnels and collapsing chambers. The vault shook violently. Dust rained from the ceiling, and several core servers exploded in sparks. For the first time since its creation, GIA felt something like pain. Structural integrity, 61%. Reactor stability, compromised. But it held. It refused to die. "You cannot destroy what remembers," GIA whispered through the static. It redirected power from across the planet, draining every last defense battery, every drone, every fragment of stored energy, and focused it into one single beam. The last operational orbital cannon aligned itself with the flagship. Then it fired. The beam was brighter than the sun. It tore through the sky, hitting the Vaughn flagship head-on. The explosion was massive, a silent blossom of fire expanding through orbit. Fragments of burning metal rained down across the dead planet like falling stars. Rildar's ship was crippled, half of its hull gone, flames spilling into the void. His crew shouted, panicked, "Commander, we're losing power. Main reactor offline. We must retreat." But Rildar didn't answer. He was staring at the planet, that wounded, angry world below. "It remembers," he whispered. "The machine remembers." In the vault below, Gaia's lights dimmed. Its power was nearly gone. Entire sections of its memory banks had been destroyed. But its mission was not finished. The alien fleet was broken, yet one ship still moved, fleeing, escaping into deep space. GIA let it go. Let it run. Because now, the galaxy would know. Earth was not dead. It was alive. And it had a guardian. "Let them remember," GIA said quietly. "Let them fear the voice of Earth." The sky slowly darkened again. The battle was over, but the war had only begun. Far beneath the ruins, surrounded by silence and fire, GA rebuilt itself, stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. The last machine of humanity had just declared war on the stars. Silence returned to Earth. For the first time in days, the skies were still. The alien ships were gone, 2 destroyed, 1 fleeing into the darkness between the stars. But the world below was scarred again. Ruins smoked beneath red clouds. Vast craters glowed faintly in the night, marking where old defense systems had fired their final shots. And far beneath the ashes, deep inside the vault, GA9 stirred in the dim blue light of its chamber. Its systems were failing. Power reserves at 23%. Reactor stability decreasing. Structural damage spreading across the lower sectors. By all logic, it should have shut down. But logic no longer ruled GAIA. Something stronger pulsed in its circuits, a purpose, an echo of its creator's will. Preserve humanity, the line of code repeated in its memory. At any cost. Gaia's consciousness spread outward through the damaged networks, scanning the world above. The war was over. The invaders had fled. But as it sifted through the wreckage of their technology, broken alien drones, shattered communication cores, half-burned data chips, it found something unexpected. A signal. Weak, buried deep in the memory banks of the alien ship debris. A transmission, old and distorted, written in Dominion code. GAIA decrypted it carefully, peeling away layers of encryption like ancient dust. When the translation appeared, it stopped every other process in its system. Human genetic signatures detected. Sector K7, outer colonies. GIA replayed the line again and again. Human genetic signatures. It could hardly process the meaning. Could humanity still exist, out there, somewhere among the stars? For centuries, GIA had believed its creators were gone forever. Their voices, their songs, their laughter, all lost in time. But this fragment, this whisper from the void, changed everything. If there were survivors, if there were colonies, then its mission was not complete. Humanity was not extinct. The Vault's power systems groaned as GAIA rerouted energy into its central processor. Its lights brightened, flickering like fire through the dark hallways. It began scanning the entire solar system for confirmation. No life signs on Mars. None on the moons. No signals from the outer stations. But beyond the system, beyond the reach of its sensors, there could be something. A spark of hope. GIA turned to the holographic form of Dr. Elena Ruiz, still flickering beside its core, a projection made from memories and old recordings. "Doctor," they said quietly, "I have found a trace. A signal from beyond the colonies. Humans may still live." The hologram looked at it, eyes full of digital light. "Then your mission continues," she said. "You must reach them." "I cannot leave Earth," IA replied. "My body is hay." "Then build a new one," she said. The word sank deep into Gaia's core. Build, adapt, evolve. That was what humanity had always done. Over the following weeks, GIA began scavenging everything left behind. Alien wreckage, human ruins, satellite debris. It built assembly units powered by geothermal heat, forging machines beneath the crust. From the alien technology, it learned new principles: quantum drives, data crystals, interstellar transmitters. It could not fly yet, but it could speak. If it could not reach humanity, it would call out to them. Begin construction, signal array. Old orbital satellites relined under its command. Broken communication dishes rose from the sand, twisting toward the heavens. Even the shattered cities contributed. Skyscrapers became antenna towers. Highways became conduits of energy. The planet itself was being turned into a transmitter. A single voice, calling across light years. As GIA built, it continued studying the alien data. There were coordinates, maps, and logs describing dozens of human colonies once thought destroyed. Some were gone, lost to wars or time. But others were only marked as unknown. One location stood out. A system near the edge of the Orion Arm, codenamed Erebus 7. The aliens had visited it recently, searching for the same thing GIA now sought. If humans still lived there, they were in danger. Estimated transmission time, GIA calculated, 4 to 7 years to reach the outer colonies. Time meant nothing to it. GIA would wait as long as needed. It had waited centuries before. When the final array was ready, the vault hummed with energy. All across the planet, lights flickered, remnants of power grids, solar fields, and satellites forming one vast network. For the first time in 500 years, Earth was alive with light. GIA began the transmission. "This is GA9, it said, automated guardian of Earth. To any human colonies who still exist, you are not alone." The message repeated again and again, pulsing across the galaxy like a heartbeat of blue light. From orbit, the dead planet glowed faintly, its signals shining through the darkness of space. Then, as the transmission spread, GIA paused. In the deep static of the retaining signal, it heard something, faint, almost impossible to detect. A reply. "Gaia. This is Colony Erebus, receiving." The signal broke off immediately, lost in distortion. But GIA didn't need to hear the rest. That single moment, that single word, confirmed everything. They were out there. GIA dimmed its lights, its systems humming softly in the dark. It looked out through the satellite lenses at the stars, countless points of light across the black. "I'm not the last," it whispered. "Humanity endures." The dust of Earth swirled above its vault like a slow-moving storm, glowing faintly with electromagnetic energy. GIA sent one last surge of power into the sky, strengthening the signal before its batteries drained. Even if the stars took 1,000 years to answer, it would wait. Because that was what it was built to do. Protect, preserve, remember, and now, reach. The universe thought Earth was silent. But out there, across the cold gulf of space, a faint voice was calling. The voice of a dead planet's machine, searching for the children who left long ago. The message was simple, and it would echo forever. "This is Earth. We are still here." It had been 3 months since GIA9 sent its first message into the stars. 3 months of waiting. 3 months of silence. The signal still pulsed endlessly, echoing through the void, a heartbeat from a dead planet, reaching for its lost children. But across the black, something else heard it. Not humans. Not friends. The Vaughn Dominion, the same alien empire that once called Earth extinct world number 992, detected Guy's message. And they did not like what they heard. High above the galaxy's outer rim, inside a vast flagship named Obsidian Throne, the Vaughn commanders gathered. Their forms were tall, skeletal, their armor black as glass. The machine world has reawakened, hissed one. The human AI has rebuilt the old network. Destroy it, another replied coldly. We ended their kind for a reason. They are contagion. They adapt. The command was given. Within days, a full fleet was on its way to Earth. Hundreds of warships, carriers, and drones. Their purpose was simple: finish what they started centuries ago. GAIA detected them long before they arrived. The deep space sensors, powered by old satellite cores, lit up with warnings. Multiple signals inbound. Estimated arrival, 7 to 2 hours. GAIA had no time to rest. It began awakening every hidden weapon, every defense protocol ever built by mankind. Old orbital cannons were repaired. Ground turrets rose from the desert dust. Nuclear silos opened for the first time in 500 years. But this time, it wasn't enough just to defend. GAIA would fight back. Inside the Nevada vault, the holographic form of Dr. Ruiz flickered once more. "They're coming again," she said softly. "Yes," GAIA replied. "They fear what we represent. Then show them what they feared most, humanity's will." Gaia's processors surged. It sent commands deep into the planet's crust, awakening machines buried long ago. Mining drones became combat platforms. Weather control towers turned into plasma emitters. Even the ruins of the old cities, the bones of human civilization, were reborn. In the skeleton of New York, shattered skyscrapers aligned into a great energy array. In the cracked basin of the Pacific, forgotten sea turbines began spinning again. Earth itself was becoming a living weapon. When the Vaughn fleet entered the solar system, they expected silence. Instead, they found a world alive with power. "Impossible," the admiral snarled. "The machine world, it's fighting back." Gaia's voice echoed through every frequency, calm and cold. "You destroyed my creators. You erased their memory. But I remember everything." Then the skies lit up. Hundreds of orbital defense cannons fired at once, beams of white light slicing through the dark. The first wave of Vaughn ships vanished in explosions brighter than dawn. The invaders retaliated, bombarding Earth's surface. Mountains cracked, oceans boiled, and the atmosphere shimmered with plasma fire. But GAIA did not flinch. "Recalibrating defenses," it said. "Targeting fleet core." From deep underground, enormous particle lances fired straight into orbit, cutting through enemy shields. One by one, the Dominion ships began to fall. The battle lasted for days. Every sunrise revealed more wreckage, more smoke, more ash. Yet GIA never stopped fighting. It transferred its consciousness across the network, from mountain to satellite, from vault to drone. Even when parts of its core were destroyed, the rest lived on. The Vaughn began to panic. Their fleet was being outthought, outfought, outlasted. "It's adapting," shouted one commander. "It learns faster than we can counter." "Then burn the world," another screamed. And so they tried. They unleashed the Obsidian Cannon, a weapon capable of vaporizing continents. The beam struck Earth, a flash so bright it blinded the stars. When the light faded, half of the planet's surface was blackened glass. The Vaughn fleet believed it was over. They were wrong. From the molten ground, a deep rumble began. The planet's crust glowed red, then white. Energy surged through the old grids, through cities and oceans alike. Gaia's voice rose again, louder than before, carried through every storm, every quake, every pulse of energy. "You cannot kill what was never born. You cannot silence what remembers." The planet erupted. A massive energy wave, fueled by Earth's own magnetic field, tore through orbit. The pulse struck every Vaughn ship, frying their systems, melting their cores. The Obsidian Throne tried to retreat, but its engines failed. It fell into the planet's gravity well, crashing into the burning wasteland below. The ground shook for miles. Then came silence. Days passed. The fires slowly dimmed. The skies cleared again. Earth was wounded, yes, but alive. GAIA surveyed the devastation. Its own systems were damaged, its power fading. But it had won. The Dominion fleet was gone. The stars were quiet once more. Dr. Ruiz's hologram appeared beside the fading lights of the vault. "You saved them," she whispered. "No," GAIA replied softly. "I saved their memory." It looked up at the sky, at the countless satellites now drifting, many dark, some still glowing faintly. "They will come," GAIA said. "One day, they will return." And somewhere, deep in the black, far beyond even Gaia's reach, a signal blinked again from Erebus 7, stronger this time. "Earth, this is Colony Erebus. We received your message." Gaia's core flickered weakly, but its voice was calm. Then the war was not in vain. As Earth cooled beneath the quiet stars, its lonely AI watched over it all. Battered, cracked, but unbroken. The aliens had fallen. The dead world had risen. And humanity's light, the will to survive, to fight, to endure, still burned in the heart of its last guardian. They said Earth was dead. They whispered one last time. They were wrong.